Good morning, everybody.
Right,
so we're
good
a few
morning.
minutes late. TRS Live. Sitting here today, Brian Keller. Thanks for joining us all. I've got Nick over here from the sales floor.
Hey guys.
Nick is our de facto Great Lakes expert. Would that be a fair statement?
That would be fair.
So let's do this. So we kind of transitioned the TRS Live podcast over to the Dude Factor with Matt and I. Now we're kind of making the TRS Live show more about TRS.
Sure.
Which I think is a
That
good
makes
thing.
it good.
Yeah, that makes a good
That makes
thing,
sense,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to have one of the sales guys in here on these shows once a week now going forward. Might be Nick back to back. I don't know. That's up to Justin. That's his baby. But
Sure.
we're going to get to know these guys a little bit more, talked about their backgrounds a little bit, what makes them, why you want to come in and work with these guys. Because I think if people don't understand the sales staff that we have here at the store, they're really missing
special.
out. Right?
It's special. Every one of us has a unique quality that in our department are like specific for that department and so knowledgeable.
See,
And you don't get that anywhere.
No, see, and I've always said that. Like, you can watch ads from other companies, competitors, whatever, and everybody says they've got all these people that have all this knowledge and all these, they got fancy pictures on the wall and all that kind of stuff, right? But what I've always said here is the difference is like we're actual users, like hardcore users. I mean, like hardcore. Like when you come in here in the summer, everybody in the fishing department has raccoon eyes from suntan lines, right? Like every single one of them. Like you can't fake that. That only happens from 10 hours in the water a day.
Right.
You're right. I mean, because I've always said that. Like I always said, Justin's such a great sales guy in Florida because people walk in, they know he spent the entire weekend in the water.
Right.
He's not faking it. He's not just giving you the sales pitch that the manufacturers gave him.
Right.
You're right. Like he's actually living and breathing this kind of stuff.
Sure.
So like real quick, why don't you give everybody just a background about, you and what got you into fishing a little bit and then how we get into the Great Lakes stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Well, same like almost every little kid, their grandpa got them started fishing off our little lake in Kelly Lake way up north.
What county is that in?
That is actually in, I think, is Sawyer.
Okay.
Sawyer
There's
County.
probably like 17 Kelly Lakes in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's a really, 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 really
right.
tiny lake.
Yeah, but those are
there
great
was
to
like
learn on.
3 houses on it,
Nice.
and we just had it all to ourselves.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then growing up, my dad wasn't really a fisherman, but my stepdad was.
Okay.
And he took me every chance we got, and he kind of fulfilled everything after my grandpa passed. And then he actually ended up passing too a few years ago. So I've been just doing my own thing.
Nice. Just learning as you go. Then,
Learning everything possible from panfish to salmon. Like, learn everything I can about every fish, freshwater fish in the Midwest.
That's a very steep goal.
And I almost everything. So growing up, I didn't really have the Great Lakes experience.
Okay.
So growing up, my stepdad taught me the fall fishing, the salmon run. We went to Door County every 4 years old. So I've been going to Door County, introduced to the salmon world since I was very, very young.
Nice.
And after high school, I got the opportunity to move to Door County, and I got started with.
You actually lived up there?
I lived in Door County.
I didn't know.
In Bailey's Harbor.
Oh, okay, awesome. I actually got married in Bailey's Harbor.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Gordon Lodge. You know where Gordon Lodge is?
Yeah,
It's a little north of Bailey's Harbor, I guess. But
Yep. So I worked on the first choice. Todd gave me the opportunity to start mating with 0 experience on the big boat.
Now, what kind of story? I want to know. What kind of story did you have to give him?
Just in real need of help with a little fishing background.
Okay. Because the
I mean,
Great Lakes stuff's dangerous. Like, if you've never done it before with the wires and all that stuff, right?
I had
some
bouncing around the boat, very knowledgeable. We would always fight for.
Really?
Like when he was training me, we trained for like 2-3 weeks, and we would go out by ourselves all the time.
Okay.
But he would put, and I mean, he taught me everything. I'm super grateful for. Kind of flew.
Okay.
Right away.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's if you've never done the Great Lakes salmon thing, salmon and trout,
it's a whole
thing,
new world.
It is a whole new world because it's as close to ocean fishing as you can get up here.
Right.
I mean, they are ocean fish.
Yep.
Because they're planted ocean fish, right?
Yep.
So I mean, it's the closest thing you get to the ocean thing. And if all you've ever is the inland panfish, inland walleye, even inland trout, not even remotely the same.
Yeah, it hits you.
You're good. I just had Andy. I just asked
Special
Andy if he could go get me one of my coffees.
Hey.
I'm just like, darn it. I was trying to order some stuff for this MPFL deal we're doing, and I was running late, and I'm like, damn it, missed my coffee. But anyway, so Andy's a good guy.
All right, perfect.
So anyway, but what we were talking about is just how different the Great Lakes are. If you've never experienced it, it's very hard to kind of get that point across in a podcast.
Right.
But like, there's just something about 3:30, 4 in the morning, right?
Yep.
Sun's barely, right? See, I can see
You're
the
waking
grin.
up.
I can see the grin. The sun's barely peaking. Like when you get out there, lines are almost set usually before the sun's even like peaking.
Yep. We're throwing lines when.
Yeah, because if you've never been out,
shit up.
Yep. If you've never been out there before, you could see down in the spring, in the summer, you can see down 40, 50 feet.
Yeah, you putting your diver down there, you can see it 50 foot down there. And you can sometimes, if the fish are that aggressive, you can see them whack them right next to the boat.
Which is awesome. Which is crazy. So, but the light penetration, right? That's why it's such an early bite. I'm just trying to paint a picture for people that might not have ever done this before.
Right.
The bite's so early because fish are fish and they like to sneak up on stuff and they've got sensitive eyes and they're nocturnal and all these other things, right? So in that light penetration, it can go way out and way deep. So get at them, and the easiest way to get at them is in the morning. Now that's not all the time.
Right.
Obviously, wind helps a lot, break with waves, that kind of stuff. But I'm just painting the picture. But when you're out there, 4:30 in the morning, the sun's barely starting to you're not even seeing the sun crest yet. You're just seeing the glow of the sun come up, right? That pre-dawn stuff.
It's awesome.
And then you got these lines screaming.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. The first rip on a wire. Just, it gets you going.
There
is
nothing
fired
like
up.
that.
There's nothing.
I mean, nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
So let's talk about a setup now. We've talked about wire. We've talked about this stuff. Let's just talk like a downrigger setup.
Sure.
Okay. Well, because there's a lot of different setups out there, right? You got your downriggers, you got your pump handles. Did you do pump handles? Do they call that pump handles anymore?
Yes,
That's
they
your
do.
inline three-way type rig. So let's just talk about a downrigger setup real quick. Then we'll get into dipsies and maybe boards and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So what are you seeing, guys? What are they asking, requesting these days to get rigged up for a downrigger setup?
So downrigger is just plain and simple. It's 25, 30-pound mono, rigged right on a 30 size reel. So your convector 30, or your cold water.
Oh, you even brought toys.
I even brought toys.
You brought toys, Andy. Andy, he brought toys.
So this is your standard cold water 303. For the downriggers, I like a high speed. So this one actually is a high speed reel. It's the DS model of the 303. It's a 6:2 gear ratio. So when that downrigger pops, you got all that slack.
Yep.
You got all that slack. So you really have to
Let's explain that real quick on how that works. So there's a 10 to 15 pound ball on this downrigger
that you have clipped to your line.
Yep.
And so your boat, you got your rod here, the weight's here, and your line's out here. So when that release, you got that much line.
And that line bows.
Because
you can only get it so tight. And if you get it too tight, I'm sure you've done that.
Yep. And
Hey,
and then they'll just keep bouncing and they won't release. And then you have to run over there, snap it as hard as you can, reel down to it, and then fish on.
Then if you reel it down too tight to try to set it, then she'll pop, and then you got to reset the whole thing. There's a fine line between that.
And so the Black's clips are the ones that I like the best.
That's what we always use too.
Because they're so sensitive, and you can fine tune those suckers.
And it's got the little screw dial on there.
Real screw dial. It's awesome. So what we would do with those is we actually customized the Blacks. We actually ran a weed whacker wire through that hole and tied a knot to the back of the downrigger weight. So you would have 8 to 12 inches there where you could just grab that weed whacker line and throw your clip on. So you're not.
So you weren't grabbing the actual weight.
You're grabbing the actual weight.
So
you could grab that weed whacker and it was boom, done. Send it.
So we had those when we had Cannon downriggers. We had that. But
Yep.
then my dad's always been a huge advocate of the Big Johns.
Okay.
And the Big Johns actually, they have the lift arms.
Okay.
And those are badass.
Yeah.
Those are really badass. Like you can literally lift it up and it's just a big pendulum. The weight just swings right to you.
Yeah, and you got to catch the weight.
Yeah, but it's not too bad. I don't know. I did it for so long. So I was the first mate when I started. I was 12.
Sure.
I was 12 years old. My dad would not let me anywhere near a downrigger until I was like 16 or 17. Like not even close.
You can smash your fingers real quick.
Oh, really quick. Well, if you're in 6-footers, you've been out there, right?
Oh,
you're
yeah.
in 6-footers, you lift that weight up and you got this 12-pound thing swinging at you.
Right at you.
Well, it's kind of a trick between you lift it up slow enough to where she starts coming, but when it gets close enough, it wants to go back, and that's when you catch it.
Yep.
And I always caught it with my middle finger.
Okay.
Just one finger, I'd catch it, I'd do my thing away. I don't know. You get pretty good at it after a while.
Yeah.
But I haven't been able to do that much the last couple of years. I kind of miss it. That's a lot of fun out there.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so we got 20, 25, 30-pound test on here, right?
Yep.
We always ran 20, but each their own.
Sure.
was a long time
I
ago,
like
too.
running 20, 25-pound fluorocarbon leaders on the end. So
Okay.
that adds that invisible line so that you do get more bites when you run
absolutely. Well, and there again, we're talking about, you can see 50
clear water.
feet clear water.
Clear water. And
don't
25, 30-pound mono is chalky.
Yes.
So
100%. Absolutely. So what kind are you going direct? Are you going on your downriggers then? Are you going direct flow to mono with some kind of a uni to uni knot, or are you running a swivel?
Yep. No, I run a modified Albright knot on every single knot I run.
Okay.
The only difference between line thickness is the amount of wraps.
Yep.
So if you got a thicker line, you're going to wrap less. If you got a thinner line, you wrap more. And you're always going to double the thicker line or the stiffer line. That's the only two rules of thumb you really need to know for that
We
line.
could have an entire show just on whose preferred knots are better.
Oh my God.
Because I use uni knots on everything.
Right.
See, I use a uni knot and then I use a double uni knot where I actually like double it up.
Sure.
I use that on almost everything I do, unless I'm like, if I'm going braid to floral, I'll use the FG knot.
Yep.
Which has been kind of the up and coming knot, which is awesome.
Sure.
Do you know how to tie that?
I do. I don't prefer it because it takes way more time.
Yeah, but you don't have to tie it as often. Okay, well, that's a whole other show. That's a whole other show.
Yeah, that's a whole
We'll
other
even get
show.
Kyle in here sometime. We'll have a knot
Yep.
show. We'll just
Yep.
talk about fishing knots because
Yeah, because I
it's
can
like
tie a modified Albright in
it's like
8 seconds.
Oh yeah, but it's like Coke and Pepsi. Everybody's got their favorite, and they've all got a reason why theirs is the best.
Yep.
Right? Which is
Exactly.
great. So anyway, so you're running a knot to knot
For the
intersection
leader.
between your leader and whatever.
Yep.
I
Leader
think
to
the reason
swivel.
is you want to be able to run a 20, 30-foot leader, right?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So if you're using a swivel, you won't be able to wind it through the guides.
No,
Right.
absolutely not.
You just gotta
It would
make sure
wreck your guides.
Sometimes you got to make sure you don't forget. Like other people don't know what we know, right?
Right, exactly.
So anyway, so we're not running a swivel because we want to be able to reel that knot through the guide. So it's important to have some kind of a. That's where the FG knot's
Slim.
so awesome, is because it's
Slim.
so skinny. It's almost like it's not even there,
right.
which is awesome. Okay, so then. What are we? So, do we want to just go rod and reel setups across the deck once?
Sure.
Okay, so we got our downrigger setups. We're in the middle. Typically on the outside. Now we're running dipsies, right?
Dipsies, yep. So we're going to either run braid or wire. And I use the same reel for that. The 303 DS that I just had. So you can
Why don't
fit.
you just get it, put it up on the deck.
Sure. So this is the 303 DS. I love my high-speed reels for non-weighted lines. So I can get that sucker
When
out
you
of
say
the water.
non-weighted, you're talking like non-lead core, not
Right,
copper.
we'll get into those.
Okay.
We'll get into those. But wire on a dipsy, if that's getting in trouble, you want it out of the water like now. You don't want your fish getting in the wire.
No, that's not good.
That's not good.
Wire
So you
wins
want-
over mono every time.
Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
All times. All times wire wins.
Exactly.
Wire wins over flesh
So
too.
you pop that sucker, you rip it out of the water as soon as possible, and that's why a 6-2 to 1 is awesome.
Fair enough.
So,
Okay. And you don't have any issues with that, with getting a dipsy up and out of the water, because there's a lot of pressure on those.
No, you pop it.
Okay. Yep.
Yep.
I know you pop it, but I mean, there's still a lot of weight there. You don't have any problems getting that in
Sure.
on that faster gear ratio.
No.
Okay,
No,
awesome.
there's no weight there. It's just the counterweight on the dipsy.
Yep.
So it's not a lot of weight. Not
Okay.
like your copper.
I know the answers. I'm asking you questions. Okay.
All right.
So then let's talk about the dipsies. So what type of rod are we using on those dipsies then?
So you can run either like a 9 to 12 foot. Doesn't matter. Just depends on the size of your boat.
I was going to say that, but both sizes huge there.
Both
It's hard to
sizes
use a
huge
12-foot
there.
rod and a 19-foot boat.
Exactly. Exactly. You're just hitting the water every wave.
Right. Yep.
So that's
Okay.
so a lot of people like running a braid wire combo. So they'll run a braid on the outside and a dipsy, a wire on the inside.
Yep.
So that cuts the water. You're going to be running a Magnum heavier one, so it sinks farther. The one on the outside is going to be higher. So if a fish hits on that higher line, it goes right to the back of the boat and not up in the.
Yep, absolutely. Now, did you bring any dipsies with you?
I didn't bring any dipsy.
So anyway, so if you're not familiar with the dipsy, it's a circle like this. It's a circle like this.
Circle like
That's
that,
almost
yep.
like a circle. And on the bottom of what he's talking about, there's like a little weight dial that you could take that dial and you can actually turn it left or right to control which way it goes.
And how far it cuts out.
And how far it cuts. So you could put it on like a 3.5, and that's going to be way up high,
Yep.
but way out to the
way
side
out
of the
to the
boat.
side.
Or you could put it on a 0, which would almost act like a downrigger and go straight
down, right.
So that's what he's talking about by having your wire kind of go down deeper. You're going to have your dial set to maybe a 1.5.
Yep.
Or a 2, depending
on the wire.
Yep, on the wire down, so it's here.
And then
those
more
other
of a
ones, you set on a 2.5 or a 3, so they're staying up here out to the side.
Exactly.
And the whole goal is to try to cover that water column, right?
Right. Yep. And spread it out as far as possible.
Yep.
Cover as much ground.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that goes back again to the clear water.
Right.
Is nowadays you don't mark as many fish as we used to. I don't know if there's just not as many out there.
I just think the
or if
water
water
has
clear-
gotten so clear with the zebra mussels
100%.
that they're getting shy away.
100%. See, and I think that's
they're
where
spooky.
when these big boat captains figure out forward-facing sonar, it's gonna be a game changer.
Oh yeah.
Because they don't that's not a world that they live in.
No.
Like the charter boat captains,
No.
right? Like they don't live in the forward-facing sonar.
No, when
world.
360 came out, it was huge.
Yep.
So
But
you
wait
could,
till they get forward-facing sonar on
Wait.
these boats.
yeah, just wait.
Because I mean, honestly, I could see a situation where you'd have 3 of those on your boat, one facing forward, one facing left and right.
Right.
The forward-facing stuff. I mean, you're talking like
On the small boats, it's going to be huge too because they can turn on a dime. Those big boats can't really
for
turn
sure,
on a dime.
100%.
So if you have a fish way over here,
Yep.
you're not going to be able to make that turn. You're going to get everything tangled up in
I
the
think
back.
forward-facing could be a game changer out there.
Definitely.
I don't know anybody running it, but maybe they are. I have no idea.
Right, especially in that top 40, top 50.
100%. 100%, because those fish go. I mean,
Yep.
they spook
Mhm.
big time.
They
Okay,
sure
so
do.
we've got our downriggers. Our downriggers we're typically fishing depth-wise. Now we're talking water column depth. We're talking, in your 20 down to, sometimes 20, usually 40 to 100 feet down, right?
Right.
Like that's there. Your dipsies are going to cover your 80 to 20-foot range kind of on that outside, right?
Yep.
All right?
Yep. You can touch deeper with the wire and with a Magnum.
No, 100%. Yep.
But
I'm just saying that's typically how you structure it, right?
yeah.
Because what you were saying before is like if you want it structured so if a fish hits, it's not cutting through everything else you're doing.
Exactly.
That's the issue.
That's
right?
That's the goal.
That's the goal. Because you want to see a cluster.
Yeah.
You get this line cut up on this downrigger over here, and you got a mess.
Oh yeah.
Like a real mess.
A real mess.
That is a real good way to have your dad start screaming at you. Not that I've ever had that happen.
No.
Okay, so now we got wire or braid. What do you see, guys? Is that personal preference on those dipsy lines, or is there a reason between one or the other?
So the thing is, it's two different sounds in the water. Braid's much quieter, much more subtle, and wire actually gives off a hum that some people believe attracts fish too. Yep. So some people are even actually going double wires.
Okay,
it's getting to be a thing.
Yep. Now I know that. So let's go into the long line wire stuff once. The weighted lines.
Or do you
want to do boards first?
Well, that is a board.
Well, it isn't. It isn't.
So,
because you can run your planer boards up in that surface with mono, just like you do for walleyes, trout, or whatever, right?
Yep. For steelhead up high.
Yep. Steelhead up high. Now, are you running wire off your boards now too? Is that a thing?
Just weighted wire.
Just weighted wire.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's two different weighted lines. There's copper and then there's steel. Steel is a stiffer, flatter line.
Now this isn't the same like wire that you're putting on your dipsies.
So wire has no weight. It's just a straight 30-pound tight woven 7-strand that cuts the water.
Okay.
It's not weighted at all.
Zero stretch. Like
zero stretch.
Zero stretch.
Zero stretch. That's why you run a snubber on the back.
I was gonna get back.
So
to that.
So most people, if they don't run a snubber, are gonna lose. They're gonna lose so many fish.
Even with the snubber on your wire dipsies, you're probably gonna lose fish because they'll just like rip. I mean, we've had again going back to the fishery and the fishing. mean, over the years we've been doing this. My dad's been doing this and stuff. We've had literally hooks ripped out of the back of spoons.
Yeah.
Like drag tension's huge. We haven't even gotten into that yet.
No.
Like your drag tension.
Oh
Okay,
my
we'll get
gosh.
back into some of the fishing type stuff.
Sure.
But just for the wire has no stretch at all. Like zero stretch.
Zero stretch.
They're like less stretch than braid. Even
That is-
braid doesn't stretch much, maybe
Right.
just a tiny bit. Wire stretches none.
That's why the wire and the dipsy rods are so noodly to absorb a lot of that.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about these. Let's get back into that stainless steel or the steel line versus copper line stuff.
Sure. So steel line is a really tight, stiff, flat. So it's not going to add more action to your lure like copper would, because copper is a softer and it twists and it whips and it goes crazy and adds action to your lure. So there's benefits to both. And that's about it. They sink the same.
So steel and copper have the same sink rates?
Yep.
So they basically weigh the same?
Weigh the same.
Okay.
Roughly. So that's that.
Now, are guys running that steel on their planer boards?
Yes.
Okay, how are you attaching that to the planer
So
board?
you have to run all of it out. So say you
Okay, so this
you
is
run,
more like a lead course setup then.
yes,
You gotta
exactly.
run it all. Okay.
You have to run it all out. If you clip it on the board, your board's gonna sink and it's
so
it's
how
not
much,
gonna work.
Okay, so just to explain this now, so I didn't know it was like a lot of the steels line stuff came around after I kind of haven't been out there very much.
Right.
But I did a lot of lead core fishing for walleye. So, well, if it's the same, I understand the principle.
Yeah.
So we're running a 50-foot or so fluorocarbon leader,
Yep.
right? Attached to your steel.
Yep.
How much steel are we adding to the reel then?
So a lot of people like the steel for the higher line, the deeper line. So like the 300, 350, 400, and that's gonna get them 50 to 80 foot down, depending on how much feet they put out.
Okay.
How
How far? What was that range again?
So the 300
Yep.
to 400 feet is going to be 50 to 80 feet,
Okay.
depending on your speed,
So 400.
obviously.
Yeah, obviously, you're right.
But
okay.
yeah, so the 300 is going to be roughly around 60. 350 is going to be roughly around 65, 70, and then the 400 is going to be roughly in that 75, 80
And
mark.
again, speed is huge.
It's huge.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
faster
so
you
if-
go, the shallower.
So if you're on a turn, your line can touch 100 foot
yeah, easy. Yep, on the inside of a turn.
on the inside of a turn.
Outside will be the exact opposite.
Right, exact opposite.
Okay.
Um,
So then, what are they running as the backer? Then you're back to like 25 or like a braid.
50-pound braid.
Okay.
Yep. And I'm actually one of the only ones that spool an 80-pound splice in there, so it's actually easier to clip on to your board.
Whoa, explain that now.
So, yeah. So
you're
I've been working with lines for a
I
long
was gonna
time.
say I don't. This is something we haven't talked about, line spooling, because
Right.
we are one of the only places anywhere that does this.
Exactly.
And you're
so
kind
I'm
of
one
you're
of
the
very,
expert of-
very few that still do this.
Okay.
And I've been tempering with lines
You're like
and
a- like a-
connections
Like in
for
old
a
school,
long,
like,
long time.
what do they call those blacksmith guys? You're pounding your own swords and stuff.
Right, yeah. So I've been
blacksmith.
exploring
Thank you. I
blacksmith.
said blacksmith, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, thank you. Took me a second. I got there.
So I've been playing with lines and connections for a long time and seeing what works best with what. So mono to steel or copper does not work very well. You get a fat knot and it deteriorates over time. So that sun will hit that mono and it will deteriorate.
Okay.
Your next trip out, you'll pop and break off a fish. So what I've incorporated is a 80-pound braid splice, because braid agrees with mono and fluorocarbon way better than it does copper.
Okay.
So and braid to copper or steel agrees with braid way more.
Okay.
So what I do is I add a splice in there of 80-pound that
Braid.
you will not break.
Okay.
You won't break.
How long is the splice?
So for the splice in between the leader and the copper, so the backhand towards the lure, I'm only gonna do 3-4 foot.
Okay.
So on the backside where you clip your board on, I'm gonna do 15 to 20 feet, so you can clip that onto your board.
Onto the 80-pound.
Onto the 80-pound.
The board will actually hold better.
Way better.
Yeah, versus 20-pound braid.
Way
which
better.
it won't hold to at all.
No, at
Right.
all. No.
Okay, that's good. I like that. Okay.
So and I'm one of the only ones that does that
okay.
right now that I know of.
Okay.
Until I start
but if
leaking
you're only
videos
clipping
out.
if you run that 15 foot and you're clipping your board onto that,
Mhm.
that means your copper or your steel line is only 15 feet from there down, but you got 400 feet of that out there.
Right.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
You got 400 feet of that. And then I put a minimum of 50-pound braid backing on there.
Okay.
So, I mean, anything less than 250, you're playing with
You
fire.
gotta run snubbers on that too, then, don't you?
No.
You don't?
No, because you have your fluorocarbon or
But fluorocarbon
mono,
doesn't stretch either.
not as well. So you really got to
Fluorocarbon's
play.
almost got no stretch.
Right. You really got to play with your drags, though, too.
Okay. So you need a pretty handy rod for this then too. You
Yeah.
can't run a real stiff rod on these setups.
The thing is, you have to.
Right. Well, then how are you not using a snubber of some kind?
Drags have come a really long way,
All right.
and you got to really pay attention to them.
Because that whole setup you're describing has got not a lot of stretch.
No,
With the fluorocarbon leader.
zero.
That's interesting. Well,
Zero
you're gonna.
stretch.
I mean, from a fight standpoint, you're gonna feel every head shake.
Yep.
I mean, everything. You're
Everything.
gonna feel all of it.
Everything. Yep. And you're gonna know when to back your drag off and let out line out,
All right.
and some people even thumb their spools if they have to.
Just be really careful.
To be very careful.
Be very careful.
Very careful.
What is speaking of like fish going on a run, what is the longest run you've ever had a fish go on? Like when you were chartering?
650 feet,
Okay.
and that was a 36-pound king on a wire.
Okay.
That was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Really?
It was awesome. So it was a August day, super slow, middle of the day, hot, and we had probably 2 bites all day. So so we went down to a reef in 120 feet of water, and I let my wire down 180 feet, I think. So it was touching right around 100, right close to the bottom, and I had a bloody nose moonshine magnum on.
Okay.
And that sucker hit it so hard, I thought I couldn't even get it out of the rod holder for a good 30 seconds.
Wow.
It hit it that hard, and it ran for 300 feet there, and we got maybe a couple feet on it, and it took another 300 out, and we fought that thing for 50 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
I've got a very similar story, but the biggest one I ever caught was 30.5.
Okay.
That was the biggest one, and it was in the Two River Salmon Derby.
Awesome.
And I was leading until like the last 20 minutes, and I took second. But we had it where it literally took 600 feet of line out. We were in the fog. My dad and I were there. It took 600 feet of line out. We got it all the way up to the boat, right there where you could see it kind of doing its dogging thing.
Sure.
And as soon as it saw the boat, it took another 600 feet of line out.
What?
Yeah, it was insane.
It took that big of a run.
Twice.
Oh my god.
Then we got it in the second time.
Water must have been cold.
Yeah, it was cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was foggy. It was just the perfect conditions for everything. We had if you're in that Two Rivers Manitowoc area, you know the Badger Ferry goes
Yep.
through. We were in that same run.
Yep.
So it's honking its horn at us, and we're in the way, and it's foggy. It was a cluster, but we got her in.
Yep.
But the second time after that second 600-foot run, we got it up to the boat. It was pretty toast. Like,
Yep.
That was the easiest nut job.
That is
ever.
that is why I stress more than 250 yards backing on a reel.
Yeah.
Because some of these people putting 500-600 foot coppers on, you're not going to get that much backing. You're going to get maybe 100-foot backing on a big reel, a 553 like this. So this is the type of reel you would use for those long distance copper.
You better have a
and
workout
steel.
program to fish like this.
Exactly.
Like how much do you think that reel weighs?
So this reel by itself probably 3.5 pounds. You add 400 feet of steel or copper, it's close to 10 pounds.
Yeah, for sure. Like you gotta. That's kind of what I was getting at. Like you gotta have a plan. Like,
Yep.
This isn't just sit back and.
No.
Because here's the thing. Like people always like, oh hey, let me know when you're going fishing. I'll go with you. I'm like, time out. I don't sit here with a beer and a bobber in my hand all day.
No.
Like this is combat.
It's work.
This is combat.
It's work.
And then if you check your lines frequently, or you want to change baits,
Right.
you know, whatever, and then you throw say a flasher and fly combo on there,
And that's pulling like a son of a gun.
like you're tired at the end of the day.
Right.
Like you come in at noon or 1 o'clock and it's like nap time.
Yep. For sure. And it's really hard for the mates. Like you have no idea. Like going 2 to 3 times a day and getting 3 hours of sleep at night.
Yeah,
It's stress.
that's exhausting.
I tell you what, if I had the mountain ops, that would have been so much nicer back in
nice
the day.
product plug. I like
Oh
that.
my God. Oh my God.
Nice. Okay, so you mentioned real briefly the stainless to copper. Stainless is pretty much straight. I know that copper kind of whips back there and spins. And
Yep.
now, why does copper do that? Just a softer wire?
Yep, and it's not straight though either, so it gets wavy.
Yep.
And not like the stiff steel where it's just straight.
And I know some
flat.
people with the wire, they swear it's that vibration stuff you were talking about. They swear
on
that
on the diver.
yeah,
Yep.
well, on the diver, but even on the like running long lines,
Oh yeah,
bolt, whatever.
yeah,
they just swear
different
that wire
metal
the
gives different vibration.
Yeah, the vibrations off the metal lines, whether it be the wire, stainless, or the copper.
Yep.
They all swear that just
And
attracts
depending on the
fish.
day, that could have a negative or a positive
Correct.
effect.
Yeah. Right.
So you got to have kind of every set up.
Yeah. Well,
I hate to say it.
I love doing that kind of fishing. I love the downriggers. I love the dipsies. I love the boards. I hate that long line steel stuff.
Yeah.
I hate it. It's just so much work.
It's a lot of work.
It is. It's
Yep.
like 2 extra bites a day. I'm like, I don't know. But some days it's not even 2. It's like 10
Some
to 1.
days it's you're reeling them in.
Yeah. I mean, some days it's 10 to 1 that fish, the wire bites or the metal bites, let's call it, over or whatever.
Right.
Okay. What other goodies you got in there? Hey, I saw
So,
a planer board. Let's talk about
I have
that.
the latest and greatest. So I fell in love with this board as soon as it came out.
It's not yellow.
It is not yellow.
Well, how is it not
So
yellow?
we grew up and I learned a no clip system. So
Okay.
I never ran a clip
Never.
ever.
Okay.
So the thing is when you're not running a clip, you have to reel the board in,
Yep.
obviously. And a lot of people say, "Oh, you're fighting the board, you're fighting the board." It planes. There's really
Right.
nothing.
Yep.
So the trick is for a non-clipping board that doesn't release is when that board's at the back of the boat, you have to have the rod tip down. Otherwise, it will sink.
Okay, explain that, because you literally took the question out of my mouth.
Right.
The reason I always liked having the board release
Yep.
and then flying down to the weight or whatever, right?
Right.
Just getting out of the way.
Yep.
Was that when that board gets up by the boat, if it bounces and takes a nosedive, that board turns into a dipsy.
Yep. And
Right?
then you have to.
And then you
you have to release this sucker and thumb this sucker out
'cause
until
you
it
can't-
goes.
That pulls way harder than a dipsy pull. Like when she goes
Way
up under
harder.
the water, it's
Way
bad.
harder. It's miserable when this
so
thing goes under.
Explain to me how to not let that happen, because I think even a walleye guy watching the show that doesn't
Yep.
do the same thing, they've had the same problem
Yep, with the church
their,
boards
Well, even the offshore boards do it all
when
the
they
time,
don't
too.
release. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So keeping your rod tip down pops this sucker up and it keeps it planing.
Okay.
So if it's
Now,
at
why
the back
is that?
of the
How is
boat,
that? You think that'd be counterintuitive? You think having the rod tip up would keep it up?
exactly. So this back here, this here, when you
You can't. They
push
can't see it 'cause
down,
you got it backwards.
when you
dog.
okay, so when you push when you push this down and keep that pin down, this board wants to come up. So if you bring it up, it wants to go down.
Okay. All right.
So that's the process there. So when you keep your rod tip down right to the back of the boat, you pop it up. And this is the sweet thing about this board. You press this button right here and it releases this and this at the same time. Throw it down, you're done.
Really? Let me see that. That's
That
badass.
fast.
That's badass. Wow. Somebody who had their thinking cap on.
Oh, it's amazing.
So when you put your line in, you actually put it on the back.
Yep, you put it
on the
in
back
the
here.
pincher
Okay, I
there.
can see that. Yep.
In the pincher there.
Yep. Oh, nice.
And that pin,
And this doesn't. Now, is this weighted or is
it
it
is
weight out?
it is weighted. So on
See
your
the weight on
heavier
top, but-
lines, it's like 30% bigger than a regular church board and a little smaller than a TX44. So on your heavier lines, like your 10 color, 7 color, 300 copper, it has a weight system, and you put that weight system forward, it planes even better.
Okay.
So
And
on
the
your
weight's on the top to kind of keep the board in the water. Is that the theory, or is it upside down?
no, it is upside down. Yep.
Oh,
So
okay. No. Okay. So
Yep, so-
okay. All right.
so it comes with this weight flipped around with a weight towards the back.
Okay.
And then to get it to plane better with those heavier lines, you flip it around and facing forward.
Okay. Makes sense. So hold it. Okay. So that's right. That's. Now, is that upside
Now
down?
this
or-
is the Ninja board.
No, I know.
I'm
I'm
just-
understanding. So is that up? Which way does it go through the water?
This way.
It goes through the water that way.
Yep.
Okay. So the arm is on the bottom, not on the top.
Right.
Okay, that's interesting too. Because like on the offshores, your arm's on the top.
Right.
All right, fair enough. I wonder if that helps it keep staying in the water a little better too.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But you're holding it upside down and backside up. I got all confused. I've never seen. I didn't know the board. I didn't know that arm would be on the in the water.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, those are sweet.
And it doesn't weigh anything. That's
Nothing.
light compared to like the offshore board.
Real light.
Like super
Yeah.
light.
So
I'm gonna have to get my dad a couple of those.
I think he might have already got one.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know. I talked to him about it a while
I'm
ago.
sure you do. I didn't know that. That's really nice. It's really nice. And then I see it's got a screw on there so you can adjust the tension of the.
Yeah, exactly.
front.
So it's got a screw in there so you could adjust the tension too. And it's got a tab on here too. So if you're running that heavy line and you don't want the braid to slip through there, you just wrap it around that tab right there and it will lock in there.
Very
so
impressed.
it won't slide down.
Do they
back
make
and
a
forth.
smaller version of that?
They do. They just came out with it this
For
year. We
walleye
got a wall
guys?
full of them out there.
Oh, we do. We have
We
a
do.
whole wall of it?
We have a whole wall.
All right. You wouldn't know anything about stock and product, would you, lately?
No.
All right. That was just a joke because if you haven't been here in a while, you got to get into the store and check it out because our on-floor store inventory is maybe double what it was 6 months ago. Is that-
Double?
what? It's a lot. Like we're busting at the seams of fishing tackle.
We are heavily stocked.
Yeah, big time. All right, what else we got? I mean, we've got, like, if you haven't been here before from a Great Lakes standpoint, like, I've been to a lot of bait and tackle stores, pro shops, whatever. I think we've got one of the bigger Great Lakes sections. Is that fair?
Huge.
It's huge. Like, explain to somebody watching, like, how big this, like, square footage is, like, of, like, peggable space, let's call it.
So if you walk in the door and you look to the left, you're going to obviously see the salmon wall because it is starting from almost the bait tank in the corner all the way to the back of the store.
I mean, it's pushing 80 feet.
Yes.
Maybe even, I think it's 80 feet.
Yeah. So it's roughly 6 foot high.
Maybe even, that's a little higher than that, I think.
Yeah, little higher than 6 foot high. More than I can reach, almost.
Well, you're not very tall.
I'm not very tall.
It's kind of a thing. You and Munt, I don't know what's going on, but yeah.
Yeah, we do that for the short people. all our product isn't that tall until we had to go up with the Kitech.
Yeah, the Kitech's to the ceiling. The Kitech's,
You ain't reaching those.
like our Kitech, or our plastic wall, let's call it, is another 80, 90 foot wall that is, I think, 15 or 18 feet tall.
Yeah,
it's top to bottom plastic.
top to bottom plastic.
Like top to bottom.
Yep.
It's insane. It's actually relatively impressive.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a dork like us that likes to fish, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
All right, what else you got in that goodie bag over there?
All right, so one of the other things I was taught working up there is we don't run trebles on our flies.
Oh, really?
No trebles. So he taught me
that's
how
all
to.
I've ever run is trebles on my flies.
So the thing about trebles is there's 3 points of contact.
Yep.
And if you don't get that hook in there, it's not penetrated.
Yep.
So the thing is,
and see, we always ran singles on our spoons.
Exactly.
I just never did it on a fly. I don't know.
So
why.
he might get mad at me, but I came out with my own rig, is the double singles.
So it's almost like a little crawler harness.
Pretty much.
I like it.
So you're gonna turn these hooks opposite too, so you get the same hookup ratio. And the thing is, with a single hook, when it's in there, it's
Done.
in there.
Yeah, it's done.
It's not coming out.
Yep.
So I have a few different colors. In the translucent, I have the blue, the clear, and the green. And then the glows, I have a glow, a green, a blue glow, and a purple glow, which is my daughter's favorite. I had to have a purple because purple is her favorite color.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
So this is my own LLC. I started making these leaders for the store. And the thing about a single.
What is this, 30 pound?
That is
40? 40?
40 pounds.
Okay.
40 pound fluorocarbon. So the thing about a single is it is slimmer, it's lighter, and it gives it more action.
I like that. That's really sexy. Can
Yeah.
fishing lure be sexy?
100%.
Okay, good.
100%.
Good run. See, here's the other thing too. I noticed. I was just going to ask you if that, but there's that little offset to the bend of that single. Is that a Nick deal, or do you buy them like that?
I buy that.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Because we
So
always used
these-
to. So I was taught that growing up. You always take that single and then put like
You
a
turn
5
it.
degree,
Yeah.
just a 5 degree bend into it.
Exactly.
And that's a trick if you ever get a spoon that has the single on it already.
right.
And the trick there is if you take it and you run it through your hand, and when you buy them and they're perfectly straight,
Yep.
it won't hook.
No.
Now this one would, because obviously, but if you run it through your hand, or if you put that little 5-degree bend to it, you don't want to pull it through your hand.
No, absolutely not, because they get stuck.
That's why I asked to see it. I wanted to see.
That's why I went with this hook. So this is actually an owner SSW.
Yeah, that's badass.
And
that's sharp.
I actually reached out to him yesterday about getting them in bulk, because I'm probably gonna have to be making a ton of these things.
That is one sharp hook.
And it's sharp.
You can't see this on screen, but I'm scratching my fingernail with it. That's sharp.
It's sharp. It's
awesome.
one bad to the bone hook.
that is a nice rig. What do you sell? What do we sell this for?
So we sell these.
Assuming we have them here, right?
Yeah, we have them here.
If you're on my show talking about stuff you're selling somewhere else, we're gonna have an issue.
You're gone. All right. So my daughter went and made the cute little Double Trouble Leaders logo on the front, and Justin's actually making these for me now, because we have the print machine.
Yep.
Right,
yeah, we
here
print
at the
all the
shop.
stickers right here too. Yep.
We have all the stickers.
Awesome. So you sell just the Snells, and then where do they get the skirts from?
So the skirts that was actually a prop. That's actually an atomic fly.
Okay.
I just sell the leaders in a 3-pack, so you can add whatever fly your heart desires. And I keep them untied too, because like atomic, they don't have that huge opening on the fly, so you're not going to be able to
get a knot through there.
There. And the thing about having it untied is you can tie it 17 to 24 inches. So obviously,
yes.
The guys that want more action to their fly, they're going to tie a shorter lead. They want less action, they're going to have a longer lead. So I have
that makes a huge difference.
Huge difference.
On a daily basis.
Like,
that's just some people wouldn't think. They would just say, here's my stuff. I throw it out there. Nothing's biting today.
Exactly.
That's a huge difference.
So I'm going to be coming out with 30-inch too for the bigger paddles.
Okay.
I'm still working on those right now. They're all 24 right now.
You're trying to figure out how to go from 15 to 30 or what?
Exactly. So then you can do 15 to 30.
I got the Snell down. I got the other knockdown, but adding that extra 15 inches of mono, I just can't figure it out.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I can't take things too serious for too long.
Right. The thing is with doing
now I got
doing 36 inches of line at a time, you can get a full 100 liters out of a 100-yard pack.
All right.
So if I'm going to do...
That's some high-end math, eh?
Yeah, if I'm going to do...
Good thing we didn't do the show on Monday. I couldn't do that.
Right. So if I'm going to have to do 30 inches, then I'm going to have to go out to like 40 inches of line, and then my math is all going to be messed up.
Right, I got you.
Yeah, so I started with 24.
I was gonna say, typically, though, you don't run them too long.
No.
Typically, if anything, it's at 24 or shorter.
24 is pretty much the standard.
Or shorter if they're real aggressive or they're kind of not aggressive. I mean, depending on what has to happen.
Exactly. So I sell them in a 3-pack, and they're $12.99.
Awesome. Very nice. And I mean, like, a lot of times, like, that's the first time I've seen your setup. Beads are beads, line's line. You're paying for the hooks. I'll be honest.
The hooks. Those are one wicked hook.
Those hooks are badass. Those are awesome. And I usually don't buy, like, I pick on my dad all the time for buying pre-made stuff.
Yeah.
Because usually it's junk.
Right.
It just is.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I want to buy
people want to make the most out of their product, and they cheap out a lot.
100%. So I never buy pre-made stuff. I hate it. I can't stand it.
Right.
But that's fantastic because I always want the hooks. I want my hooks.
Exactly.
Those are awesome, man. That's nice work on those. Good job. Awesome. All right, what else you got in there?
What else I got in there? I got just a couple more reels.
Just a couple more reels. Okay, so just real quick on tackle, right? Somebody walks into the store right now. We've talked about the rods and the reel setups, right?
Sure.
I mean, obviously, if you come in and you're a novice, whatever, just find Nick, talk to Nick. He's going to help you, guide you through the whole process. Because if you're not a seasoned kind of Great Lakes guy, you're going to walk in here and go, oh, what?
Yeah.
Where do I start? Right?
I honestly, in the 4 years I've been here, I've probably set 20 to 40 new guys up a year.
That's awesome.
It's
and
crazy.
These like walleye guys that are conditioning?
Walleye guys, yeah.
See, and I think the transition's easier now because of the boats.
Right.
See, way back in the day, like you couldn't go out there with a 16-foot aluminum boat. You might not come back.
You might not.
The Great Lakes, there's nothing to mess around with.
No.
I mean, you're talking 40-degree water temps, right? Like in June.
In
July.
Yep. Yeah, it was so cold last year. It was the coldest year probably on record in probably, I don't know, 20 years or so. Because the whole lake was 40 to 60 degrees all year long.
Yeah, right.
It was crazy.
It's like the best ever. If you don't like the heat,
Right.
That was always my biggest thing. I'm not a huge fan of the heat. So if you're up in Door County, you can go on the bay side.
Yep.
Fish
80
walleyes
degrees.
and bass. It's 80 degrees, whatever.
And
you
you're in a
can take a
sweatshirt.
short hour drive through the shipping canal to the Lake Michigan side.
Yep.
And as soon as you get past the breakwater and that water temperature goes from like 65
It hits you
to
right
40,
in the face.
it's just bang, and it's like floating on
like-
an air conditioner. I mean, it's awesome.
It is.
I mean, it works great going that way. Coming in though, when that heat hits you,
Yep.
that's brutal.
What was my favorite when I was chartering with people in their shorts and flip flops and t-shirts in the morning?
Yes. Like, yo, you guys, this is not going to end well for you. Like, do you have a sweatshirt? Why do we need a sweatshirt? It's 70 degrees. Now where we're going, like it might hit 60, maybe.
And we get out and set up, and they're going, "It's cold out here."
That's fantastic. So, okay, so what's the thing now? I'm talking like baits now, okay?
Sure.
Like, what's the hot thing now? Are we talking flashes and flies still? Are we talking like not live bait, but meat rigs?
Meat rigs.
Or are we talking spoons? Like, where is it at right now? Or is it kind of a seasonal transition?
Yeah, it is definitely a seasonal transition for sure, and how you want to fish. So the thing is, with flash or fly, you have to commit to it because you have to go slow.
I was gonna say it's all speed related.
It's all speed related. You can run a couple little flutter spoons in the mix on a flash or fly, because then you'll get that tumble action on those flutter spoons. They're a lighter, more floppy spoon, but the traditional spoons won't give very much action going that slow. And with a regular spoon, you're gonna have to run a spoon program, maybe throw one flasher in there just to attract them, and to cover water. So then you can go as fast as you want to go.
Now let's talk speed for a minute. How fast are you going with your flasher and fly setups?
So a flash or fly setup, I like to go slow. I mean,
Like, are you talking 0.9 or 1.2 or
like 1.4 to 1.8,
okay?
and then I can go faster than that with all my spoons.
Yep, up to as fast
Up
as you
to
can
as
get them. where
fast
they're
as
not
your little
spinning.
heart desires.
Well, and that's the thing with spoons is you just don't want them going like this.
Right,
You
exactly.
want them. They can do this a little bit, but they gotta get some wobble to them.
So the funny thing is I focused on my spoon game because my captain liked to go fast.
Yep.
So, and he liked to cover water.
Yep.
And I'd have to yell at him, "Hey, we're going 3.5 now."
But see, like, so back
But
in
the thing is, the spoons work that fast. You
Yes.
just covering ground, but your flasher flies will just
yeah, they're just spinning,
Going
and flopping
crazy.
all- yeah, they're damn near out of the water.
yeah.
Okay, so last thing we talked about rods. We talked about needing a little bendier rods. Let's get into drags real quick, and then
Sure.
let's kind of we got about, what do we got here? About 10 minutes left.
Yep.
Let's just talk about how important a good reel is for salmon fishing. Like, cause like inland fishing, I've always told people, like, and maybe you'll disagree with this, but inland, I've always said, put your money in your rod.
Yep.
And sacrifice, if you're gonna sacrifice on your combo,
Either one. Yep.
sacrifice on your reel.
Exactly.
Like, get the right size.
Because you can get a nice reel for $100.
Yeah, but the difference between a $100 rod and a $200 rod's like drastic.
It's drastic.
And that's like all of your sensitivity, all of the feel, all of the things.
Yeah. Exactly.
On inland fishing,
Right.
salmon Great Lakes fishing is 100%
exact
the opposite.
opposite.
Okay, we're on the same page. Good. I didn't know, but we're on the same page because you need a rod that is flexible, but you're not feeling bites.
No.
Like, the bites are kind of coming to you. Like,
Exactly.
they happen.
They just happen.
It's more
out
like
of
tempo
nowhere.
fishing. It's
Yep.
like, woo, it's, down it
Exactly.
pops. I mean, it's lines squealing. So you're putting all of your money into a reel, and the reason for that is the drag systems, right?
Exactly. And a lot of people like to swap drag systems out for even better drag systems.
So you
on
can
the- on
upgrade the
reels.
drags in the reel.
100%.
Do we do that?
We don't do that.
Okay. Where do you go to do something like that?
There's a couple guys on the
Okay.
on the coast that
I'm assuming you got names if
yeah,
somebody
I
wants
do.
to know.
Yep.
Okay,
If somebody wants to
perfect.
know, I have a couple names you
Okay.
can do that with. But yeah, the cold water and the convector are probably the lowest grade reel I would probably recommend for the Great Lakes.
No, those are Akumas, correct?
Akumas, yep. We sell so many Akumas, it's ridiculous because they're the ultimate reel for the budget.
Okay.
So they're in the $100 to $160 range depending on the size of reel. And these drags are pretty decent for the money, but you can always upgrade the
Okay.
drags, obviously.
I mean, because
Yeah.
just from
I
a
mean-
drag standpoint, if you fish walleyes and you like to run your drags super tight because walleyes aren't pulling line out, And then once you get a bite or whatever, you back it off, thumb it, whatever.
Right.
If you do that with salmon fishing, how do I put this?
You won't bring a fish to the boat.
Ever. No, but like you're going to lose hooks on your lures. Like, it'll rip them. Like we had hooks pulled straight through the metal of the back of a spoon, just ripped right through the spoon.
Exactly.
Like if you don't get it right. We've had eyes ripped clean off of rods.
Yep.
We had one day where I don't know how it happened because I'm like the pickiest guy ever on drags. Like you even hear me bass fishing, I'll throw it out there. I'm constantly testing my line. I'm just like a spook about it.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I set it, didn't check it, whatever, and the drag was too tight, and the rod for whatever reason got turned backwards, so the eyelets were going the wrong way. Who knows? Like it gets hectic out there sometimes,
yeah, it does.
and well, when you're guiding, like you want lines in the water when they're biting. Those bite windows can be very small.
Very small.
I want as many fish on as possible at one time.
Yep.
So we got guys over here. We got a double going on. I'm resetting the line. Another downrigger pops. I don't know what happens. I'm making excuses for myself.
Yep.
The rod went backwards. So you always want the rod with the eyelets facing towards the bow of the boat.
Right.
So you're using the bend of the rod.
Yep.
Well, for whatever reason, the rod turned out backwards,
Yep.
and if fish hit it, just sheared every eye right off the rod. Just push at one time. Every eye came right off the rod, and there was just line of the fish. That was not a good situation. Not a good situation.
I have not experienced that one, but I've experienced quite a few stories. I've had some steelhead come off, noose themselves, throw the lure, and the line clip on the swivel.
Really?
And noose himself by the gills, and that's how we got him to the boat.
Wow, I've never had that happen. You probably couldn't do that again if you had to.
No.
The craziest, probably like one of the craziest things I ever had. So I like to think that I'm a really good net man. Like you want me as your net man.
Yeah.
In the back of a boat.
I feel the same.
Because I grew up doing this stuff.
Exactly.
You doing like netting a bass or a walleye. Like I watch guys struggle netting a bass, and I kind of laugh. I'm like, you like
tail first.
Yeah, like if you're a bass fisherman and you struggle netting bass by yourself, right?
Yep.
It's a thing. If you've never done this, I'm not picking on anybody, but if you've never done this, the salmon thing, I suggest you find a charter boat and spend a couple weeks with them netting salmon and trout, preferably rainbow trout. You will never struggle netting a bass again.
Never.
Ever. So
you'll be catching them in midair.
So just real quick story. When I first started charter fishing, you don't know anything what you're doing, right? You're learning, right?
Yep.
Nets in the water too early.
Bags hanging.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like we had Coot on here with his Magnecco, this is why those things are awesome. I just learned by holding the net with my finger.
Exactly.
But
you let it go when you shoot.
Yeah, because you're not reaching for salmon and trout. That was one of the first things I learned.
Yep.
If you decide to reach, you have already lost.
Yep.
It's already over. These fish are not normal like inland fish. They will look at you.
Yeah.
Like they will like look at you. I know it sounds weird, but they will watch what you're doing.
They have, yeah.
And when you go for it, if you don't get them out, like I've had fish tail dance straight out of the net.
Yep.
I've had rainbows flat, stiff as a board, just so they roll out.
Yep.
I had one literally stiff as a board, rolled out, jumped out of the area over the top of 3 downriggers, landing on the other side.
Yep.
Dad's up in the thing just screaming at me because I fucked it all up. Oh my God, just a disaster. But you learn really quick. You've got one crack at a big rainbow.
Yep.
And you better not miss.
No, especially in cold water.
Right. So when I watch these bass guys struggling with the one hand thing, I'm like, all you got to do is go take some netting training on the Great Lakes for like a summer, and you will not have these problems anymore.
The other thing is confidence.
Oh yeah.
Shoot fast.
It just go
and hard.
Yeah.
At the head.
Yep, at the head. Don't go tail first.
No.
If you go tail first and try to drag, you're done.
You're done. He's gonna jump out the net.
That's awesome. We could do a whole nother show just on netting fish, man.
We could.
Hey, dude, it's been a great hour. I really appreciate Nick you jumping in here. I appreciate everybody coming on. Do we have any sales or discounts going on in the fishing department right now? Real quick before we close this out.
All ice stuff is dirt cheap. Give 'em call. Stop in.
Okay.
It's
has not been the greatest season for us.
Blowout prices right now because the ice has been crap.
I mean,
I'm ready. I'm thinking
Butemore's
spring right now. I'm done with this crap.
I was gonna say Little Lake Butemore is damn near wide open.
4/5 open. I press the bridge every morning and it's inviting.
Yeah. Yeah. No, spring fishing is right around the corner.
Around the corner.
We get a heavy rain and a 40-degree day and
gone.
Ice is not in good shape. So hey, hopefully it holds on enough through Battle and Bago. If you're watching this and you're fishing
Be cautious.
in your fishing Battle and Bago. We do have a ton of ice
cautious.
deals. Get in here, check them out. If you're fishing Battle and Bago, good luck. If not, our next TRS Live shopping is on Tuesday, I believe. Is that
Wednesday.
Tuesday? Wednesday?
Wednesday,
Next
yep.
TRS Live shopping's on Wednesday.
Wednesday. Oh, no.
Monday.
What was it, Andy?
Wait.
Monday.
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 Oh,
Monday.
Monday.
Actually, I'm going to need this stuff on a list or I forget.
Yeah.
We got too many different shows going on between this and the Dude Factor and whatever else.
Yeah, I know mine are always on Friday, so that's the only one I know.
Perfect. Hey, appreciate everybody joining. Check out fix.tv. I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe and help us out there. If not, have a good weekend. Be safe out on the ice, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Thanks, guys.